It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as Cody Rhodes discusses the release of Bray Wyatt, WWE are preparing to go back to the Thunderdome, and we have an update on Adam Cole's WWE contract offer. All that coming up in today's video, but first we've got some sad news as a wrestling legend has passed away. On Tuesday, it was announced that wrestling legend Jody Hamilton passed away shortly after entering hospice care, with his son Nick Patrick, the former WWE and WCW referee, announcing the news on Facebook. This announcement was shortly followed by statements from both WWE and NWA. Hamilton won various NWA championships across multiple territories and is best known for his role as the Masked Assassin. Hamilton went on to become a coach at the WCW Power Plant after injury cut his career short, and was instrumental in the development of legends such as Kevin Nash, Goldberg, Diamond Dallas Page, and The Big Show. He also ran WWE's developmental territory Deep South Wrestling until 2007. Our condolences go out to Nick Patrick and the rest of Jody's family during these difficult times. Now let's get to some less serious news, as Chris Jericho has commented on Vince McMahon's claims that AEW are not competition to WWE. Jericho spoke with Inside the Ropes this week, revealing that Vince was smart to play down AEW's growth, and revealed AEW's mentality during the Wednesday Night Wars with NXT and said, well, what else is he gonna say? You know, and to respond to that, we don't see WWE as competition. And he was smart to say that. We're not worried about what WWE is, and we haven't been since day one. We weren't worried about what NXT did. The whole time with the NXT versus AEW war, which ended in total abysmal failure for NXT, we never once had a TV screen watching what they were doing when we were doing it. Jericho went on to discuss how close AEW are to WWE in terms of the often discussed key demo, stating that AEW could bring in billions if they match or beat WWE in this regard, and said, the WWE is the WWE, and they have billions of dollars locked into TV deals, and we are working towards that. Now, when our demo ends up beating theirs and TV deals start coming in for us at the billions, then I truly think there will be a lot of competition, because now you're fighting for money, you're not just fighting for bragging rights, and bragging rights don't mean anything. As we've discussed a few times on the channel, the amount a TV deal is worth is dictated by the ratings, and AEW are very close behind WWE in terms of the key demo, which is people between the age of 18 and 49 years old. This is the demographic that advertisers look for, and this is how advertisers decide where to put their ads and how much to pay. If AEW's growth continues and they end up going neck and neck with WWE in the key demo, the next round of broadcast negotiations for either company could get very, very interesting. Yesterday, AEW EVP Cody Rhodes spoke with the media ahead of tonight's AEW Dynamite Homecoming special. He is set to face recent AEW signing Malachi Black on the show, who joins Andrade El Idolo and reportedly CM Punk and Bryan Danielson as their latest acquisitions. On the media call, Cody was asked about AEW's recent signing of talent, and he said that you can't wish good talent away, and said, in the world of the NFL and football in the UK, if there's a free agent out there that can move the needle and be something significant for us, I personally, I'm not saying this from the company perspective, think you have to go after them. And does that change the landscape of the show and the roster? The subject then turned to Bray Wyatt, who was recently released by WWE. Wyatt and Cody have a history together, and their families go back decades. Rhodes had a lot of praise for Bray, and he said, Bray Wyatt was my rookie in the second season they did of NXT. The Rotunda family and the Rhodes family, they certainly go way, way back. I can't comment on if I see a spot for him when it comes to us, but I can tell you he's an incredibly creative individual, an incredibly creative man. I would never have thought that Matt Cardona was going to end up being GCW champion and get pelted with trash, but I should have thought he would be doing something. And to circle back to Bray, I can't comment on if he fits in with us, but I can say if he has an ounce of passion for this, that guy can fit in anywhere because he's a very special talent. That's really all I can say there. If AEW do manage to pull off the signing of CM Punk, Bryan Danielson and Bray Wyatt on top of Andrade El Idolo and Malachi Black, the roster is set to be stacked full of stars, and that's not even mentioning the names that they already have. AEW are just 9 days away from the debut of their AEW Rampage show, and it looks like they will soon be able to fill out Rampage and Dynamite with 2 star-studded rosters. Ric Flair was released from WWE this week and is already receiving offers to appear at shows. The National Wrestling Alliance, where Flair has a long history, winning the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship 10 times, was invited to their upcoming 23rd anniversary show. NWA is set to host the pay-per-view from the Chase Park Plaza, which is a historic wrestling venue in St. Louis. The invitation started when a fan suggested Flair appear at the show, who tweeted NWA the following message: "Would love to see Ric Flair make an appearance in NWA. Flair cutting a promo in the studio environment would be fun to see. Maybe even joining Nick Aldis and Strictly Business for one night." NWA themselves then responded to the tweet by issuing an invitation to the Nature Boy by saying, "Hopefully Ric Flair knows he is more than welcome for wrestling at the Chase. We'd be honored for him to show up." Flair is yet to respond to the invitation, but I can't think of anyone more fitting for the event than one of NWA's greatest legends of all time. The show will be headlined by an NWA World's Heavyweight Championship bout between the champion Nick Aldis and the challenger Trevor Murdoch, and this will go down in a title versus career match after Murdoch failed to capture the belt twice in the past. Seeing Flair accompany Aldis to the ring would certainly add prestige to the event. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you scroll down and drop a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head towards 20,000 subscribers. But now that you've done that, let's get on with the rest of the video. Next up, we have a report from Fightful that AEW are ready to add another name to their roster. Ruby Soho, who is the former Ruby Riott in WWE, was released from her contract 2 months ago and is said to now be AEW bound. Ruby's non-compete clause ends just before AEW All Out, and promoters that have reached out to her were told that she is not currently taking bookings and has kept somewhat of a low profile since her release. No creative plans are currently known, and the news is not being confirmed by AEW themselves, but talent and industry insiders are said to have confirmed the news. Talent that have spoken to Fightful have given unanimously glowing reviews of Soho's work, attitude, and backstage demeanor. The AEW women's roster certainly doesn't have the depth that the men's has, and Ruby Soho will be a valuable addition to the roster. That is if the report comes to fruition. But let me know what you think of AEW's reported latest signing in the comments down below. As COVID-19 cases continue to rise in the United States, it looks like WWE are making some contingency plans should events be shut down again. A report from Cassidy Haynes of Body Slam has said that WWE expects to return to the Performance Center or another venue with the Thunderdome within just a few weeks. The feeling within the company is that SummerSlam at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas will be cancelled, and they expect to no longer be on the road in 4 weeks' time. Whilst a full lockdown isn't anticipated, a ban on mass gatherings could be announced within weeks. Andrew Zarian of the Mat Men podcast reported last week that WWE were working on plans and have been looking at 6 or 7 venues to potentially run shows out of if the pandemic worsens. This will not only have an effect on WWE, but other wrestling promotions too, and it looks like we may not be out of the pandemic era just yet. Over the past few days, there has been a lot of talk over the contract status of Adam Cole, who is set to become a free agent on August 22nd. Cole recently signed a short extension to see him through to SummerSlam weekend, with him said to have agreed to do the job to Kyle O'Reilly on NXT TakeOver that weekend. On yesterday's video, we discussed a report from Pro Wrestling Unlimited, who were told that over the last week or so, Adam Cole has turned down multiple contract offers from WWE. We have an update from the reliable Fightful, who say that this is in fact not the case, with them saying that Cole has not been formally offered a new full-on contract by WWE. A source has told them that WWE's plan is to offer him a new deal soon. Cole and WWE had hoped to keep the contract situation quiet, and it is believed that it was supposed to be kept a close secret, but clearly someone in the company leaked the news. WWE was said to have been caught off guard by Cole's contract expiring last month, which is said to have led to the firing of Senior Director of Talent Development, Canyon Seaman. It's unknown what Cole's decision will be once a new contract offer comes through, with many assuming that the fact that he only signed a short extension last month means he's on his way out of the door after his final contracted match. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly are booked for a segment on next week's episode of NXT, which will be mediated by NXT General Manager William Regal. Cole was absent from last night's show as to sell a recent beatdown from O'Reilly, which took place last week. His absence has nothing to do with the contract situation, but merely to advance the storyline going into NXT TakeOver 36. And before you go, why not check out my video where I discuss 5 ways that AEW could book the debut of CM Punk.